Hello, everyone. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez, coming to you from Washington. December 16, 2020. Tonight, we have updates from several of our correspondents across North America. Thomas Likeness in Edmonton, Alberta.
Picture a life without restaurants. The latest cry for help from Canada's food service industry.
Randy Bayuga in Pearisburg, Ohio.
Ohio vaccinates healthcare workers.
Eli, Austria in Pasadena, California.
California Governor Gavin Newsom arrives in Los Angeles for the administration of the first doses of the COVID-19 vaccine and launches the Vaccinate All 58 state program.
Carlo Valdez in Union Township reports about Governor Murphy declaring a state of emergency in New Jersey as a winter storm approaches. Milo Simbunan in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
A new state-based health insurance marketplace for Pennsylvanians called Penny for affordable coverage options, and winter weather emergency proclamation from Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf.
Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmot in Washington.
The district's snow team deploys dozens of plows as the nation's capital braces for the season's first winter storm.
And good news for Houston pet owners. Jessica Isidro in Texas will tell us about your city's animal shelter and adoption center holding a series of community events for those of you impacted by COVID-19. For EBC Sports, Tenny Sumager reports about Giannis Antetokoumpo signing a supermax contract with the Milwaukee Bucks. Plus, today we get to learn how to cook North Carolina garlic butter prawns. Garlic butter prawns. And for our virtual roundtable, we'll talk about the team's worst winter storm experiences. Our coverage begins now. First, an overview of today's COVID-19 numbers. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday, December 16th, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 73,953,000. Top three on the list of countries with recorded cases: U.S. first, 16.8 million, India, 9.9 million, and Brazil, 6.9 million. To date, more than 1,644,000 have succumbed to this virus. The U.S. leads the countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths, with more than 306,000. Brazil is next with more than 182,000, and India has more than 144,000. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany says the U.S. President Donald Trump is absolutely open to taking COVID-19 vaccine. Let's take a look.
And to you all, the president currently at this moment has said he is absolutely open to taking the vaccine. He's been emphatic about that to me privately and to you all publicly. But he did recently recover from COVID. He has the continued protective effects of the monoclonal antibody cocktail that I mentioned. And he will receive the vaccine as soon as his medical team determines it's best. But his priority is frontline workers, those in long-term care facilities, and he wants to make sure that the vulnerable get access first.
Public health experts seek to convince African-American communities that COVID-19 vaccines are safe, as the country's history of discrimination and racism has generated distrust of the healthcare system among numerous Black patients. Dr. Lisa Fitzpatrick, a member of the Black Coalition Against COVID-19 that aims to provide African-Americans with reliable information on the pandemic, answers passers-by's questions about the vaccines as they walk by a table that she sets up on the streets of Washington.
But the way it shows up, whether it's in the clinic or right here on the street, is people telling me why they're distrustful. And it's understandable because of the history of injustice against Black people and brown people in this country.
According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, Black people and Latinos are almost 3 times more likely to die from COVID-19 than whites due to economic disparities. But surveys show African Americans are also among those reluctant to get vaccinated, something experts attribute to medical experiments that were conducted during the eras of slavery and segregation. Distrust of the vaccine has declined. Some 60% of Americans questioned in November said they would definitely or probably get vaccinated, up from 51% in September, according to a Pew Research Center survey. However, only 42% of Black people surveyed said they would get inoculated. A study published on Tuesday by the Kaiser Family Foundation, a nonprofit specializing in health, found that while confidence in the vaccine is growing, Black Americans are more skeptical than the rest of the population. 35% of Black adults said they would not get vaccinated, compared to 27% for Americans in general, according to the survey. However, 61-year-old Angelo Boone, after stopping by Dr. Fitzpatrick's table, says he's going to take it.
Well, Dr. Lisa kind of broke things down where it's much more educated, and I got to understand about how the trials went and certain things, so she kind of won me over, you know, so I think I'm going to take it.
But what I think convinced him the most was when I told him if he's ever taken any medication, whether it's over the counter or prescribed by a doctor, it went through the same process as this vaccine. So we had a conversation about that. And so I think because I was just answering his questions and helping him understand, these people don't understand. We have to help them.
U.S. veteran Melissa Ann Clocker receives the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccination at Edward Hines Jr. VA Hospital in Illinois, becoming the first service member in the American Midwest to be administered the vaccine. The shots provided by the U.S. federal government mark an effort to include veterans among the first demographics able to receive the vaccine.
Personally, yes, I do feel it is another step to take to be able to serve my country, to try and help make sure, like I said, that we stop this pandemic from going forward, because there's thousands of people that no longer have that option. We all have to take our own responsibility and duty to ourselves and to our fellow neighbors. You know, we can't just think about ourselves and what we want. We have to think about everybody else as well.
Before adding that he'll do his part to reassure those with doubts, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell tells reporters when his turn comes, he's going to be anxious to take the vaccine.
I'm a huge supporter of being vaccinated when you have a substance that you know works. And so whenever my turn comes, I'm going to be anxious to take the vaccine and to reassure, do my part to reassure those who are doubtful about this that we really need to get the country vaccinated.
Meanwhile, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says if the vaccine news shows light at the end of the tunnel, the crisis isn't over, pushing for the passage of a relief package.
COVID vaccine is light at the end of the tunnel. It's getting brighter every day. We have a long way to go, but we can't think that the crisis is over. We need to pass COVID relief to help our fellow Americans get by until we eradicate this virus. We need to fully fund not only production of the vaccine, but its distribution as well.
When we come back, updates from our Eagle News correspondents in Edmonton, Alberta, Harrisburg, Ohio, and Pasadena, California. This is Eagle News America. Stay with us.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net 25.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Agila Pilipinas! A one-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Agila Provincia.
Sa mga taga-Iloilo at Antique.
Tune into Mata ng Agila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Agila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to explain our health outdoor
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel. Mga mahalagang pangyayari na naganap di lamang sa bansa, kundi maging sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, ating balikan sa Pilipinas 2020. Tinutukan ng Eagle News Team sa iba't ibang sulok ng bansa, pati na sa ipayong dagat. Pilipinas 2020. Hatid sa inyo ng Net25, Radyo Agila, eaglenews.ph at ng Eagle News Live. Pilipinas 2020. Abangan!
Buwis buhay, nakakaba talaga.
Nabuhay ang aking dugo. Dito sa talisan ng galing, pangat ng pangat ang level ng mga contestant.
Panibagong set ng mga bagong dancers ang maglalaban-laban para sa huling spot ngayong December monthly finals. Check this out. Yeah.
I want to wake up. Your mama should move it.
Malalayong lugar ang kanilang narating para maghanap buhay. Tulungan ang pamilyang iniwan sa sariling bayan. Yan ang ating mga overseas Filipino worker. Pero dahil sa di pangkaraniwang pangyayaring hatid ay krisis, may ilan sa kanilang nagpasyang umuwi. Pinagyaman ang sariling lupain, nagtayo ng negosyo na kasama sa puhunan ang sipag at tiyaga. Ang mga OFW, maraming sakripisyo, ninanais maging kapaki-pakinabang maging sa kanilang pagbabalik bansa. Sapagkat ang ating mga bagong bayani, Pilipino pa rin sa puso at damdamin.
Pare, minisan mo! Mag-alas 12 na!
12 na! Tara na!
Excuse me, padaan! Alas 12 na!
Start the happy time!
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington. The COVID-19 pandemic has tremendously impacted business sectors all across the globe. In Canada, one of those hurting most is the restaurant industry. In a recent campaign by Restaurants Canada, they are indeed crying for help. Bureau Chief Thomas Likeness joins us this evening with a story. Thomas.
Thank you, Ace. You're right. There's no doubt about it. Restaurants have been among the hardest hit businesses during the pandemic. Restaurants Canada, which is an industry group, estimates 10,000 eateries across the country have already closed, and it says 50% of those will likely never reopen unless conditions improve. Now, with the second wave of coronavirus washing over the country, many provinces have put an end to dining in during what would be normally a busy time of year, actually the busiest time of year. You know, a lot of restaurants would be catering special events, holiday parties, that sort of thing, and that's just not happening this year. To bring the attention of the plight of the food service industry to consumers, Restaurants Canada has launched a campaign with the theme, Picture a Life Without Restaurants. The campaign includes a public service announcement and website. We'll play you in a bit of that public service announcement. The message to consumers in that TV spot is quite simple. Without their support, these establishments will continue to close. And think about it for a moment. If there are no restaurants, moments like these will disappear.
This isn't where she said yes. This is your Sunday ritual and your Monday order. This is the kids' summer treat and your winter comfort. Now picture life without restaurants.
Well, the association is urging people to support their local restaurants through dine-in if it is allowed. But if it isn't, you know, there's takeout options, delivery, gifts, cards. The industry trying to convince government also to come up with support programs specific to food service. Restaurants Canada President Todd Barkley says the economic hit not only affects the eateries and the staff that work there, but others as well, like farmers, the suppliers who supply the restaurants with foods and beverages. Well, they're hurt as well. Barkley notes that at the height of the pandemic, about 800,000 food service jobs in Canada were lost. More than 1/5 of that workforce remains unemployed. Oh, I want to change topics for a moment. The National Newswire service in Canada is called the Canadian Press. Well, they've named their Newsmaker of the Year, and this year for 2020, frontline workers are the Newsmaker of the Year. And I think that's a great choice. Historically, the newsmaker has been a politician or an athlete, but, you know, certainly I think frontliners contributed more to the country than either of those two groups this year. Oh, and full disclosure, I spent more than 2 decades at the Canadian Press as an editor. To all of you in the EBC audience, I wish you all good health. Remember to take care of others, take care of yourselves, stay home, stay safe, and stay tuned to Eagle News for accurate and balanced coverage of the COVID-19 pandemic and other current affairs. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Tom. You mentioned 800,000 jobs lost. That must have hurt the unemployment rate of the country.
Oh, well, yeah, it certainly was a big contributor because that was just the direct jobs of people working for restaurants. Now, you take into account the indirect jobs in terms of food processing and in terms of the suppliers, the people who deliver that food, there were losses there as well.
Exactly. But Well, talking about that restaurant organization, what do they really want from the government? What are they asking for?
A number of things. They want some of the fees waived. They would like a deferral on things like utilities and local taxes for the time being until things start picking up. They're also seeking help with mortgages, rents, loans that these operations have taken out. They also say for their furloughed employees, they should receive support so that they're available to come back to work when the economy recovers. You know, since February, Statistics Canada estimates more than 250,000 food service jobs have disappeared.
Wow. Well, at this point, really, even the smallest things really count. Well, in the grand scheme of things, how big a player is food service in the Canadian economy?
Oh, it's huge. Now, Restaurants Canada says eateries are the key to feeding Canada's economic recovery, even during the best of times. Consider this. You spend $10 in a restaurant, only 50 cents of that stays in the pockets of the owner. That's only 5%. 95% of that money goes back into the economy in the form of wages for employees, the food and beverage purchases, contributions to charities. You know, restaurants are forever contributing to charitable events and all kinds of other expenses. Before the pandemic, the food service sector in Canada was get this, 4th largest employer. Wow. Directly, 1.2 million people were employed by restaurants. A couple of other interesting things. Half of all Canadian restaurants are run by people who came here as immigrants, and 31% of restaurant owners, operators, and staff belong to a visible minority. Oh, and you're thinking of getting into the workforce? Restaurants are the #1 source of first jobs for young Canadians. So yeah, really, they're a huge factor in the Canadian economy.
Very true, very true. Thank you for your insight. Thank you so much, Thomas Likeness from Edmonton, Alberta. I really can't imagine a life without restaurants. I can't imagine that.
No, we just take it for granted, though.
True. All right, thanks. Ohio has joined the rest of the U.S. states in receiving its first shipment of the COVID-19 vaccine. And as planned, first in line to take them are the state's healthcare workers. In Parisburg, Rani Bayuga joins us this evening. Rani.
Thank you, Ace. Governor Mike DeWine was at Mercy Hospital in Columbus, Ohio, early Monday morning to receive the first batch of vaccines. He was joined there with his wife, Fran, and also Lieutenant Governor John Husted. The first batch of vaccines from Pfizer, some 98,475 doses, was received this week, and the first vaccination started Monday. The strategically located hospitals, 10 across Ohio, chosen due to their location and the population they serve, as well as access to ultra-cold storage, received their first share of vaccines. As of Monday, the initial vaccination started with the healthcare workers. In the front lines, healthcare workers who work directly with COVID patients daily. Nursing home facilities will receive their share as early as this Friday. Next week, an additional 123,000 doses from Pfizer, along with 201,900 doses from Moderna, will arrive in Ohio. Governor Mike DeWine also announced that he will add an additional dashboard in the COVID-19 website to show the number of vaccinated. We are currently in phase 1 in the vaccine distribution. Phase 1 includes healthcare providers and also congregate care residents and staff, including people with developmental disabilities and mental health disorders, group home residents, home healthcare workers, hospice workers, emergency medical service providers, and primary care practitioners, including your dentists. The vaccine's arrival here in Ohio is a great relief, considering the current surge here in Ohio has been very significant. There are now currently 584,766 total cases of COVID-19 for the year. along with 7,777 deaths. As of yesterday, there are 5,296 patients in our hospitals here in Ohio, and 1,311 of those are in intensive care. Compare that number to the current stat for the year for ICU admissions, 5,344. That's a big chunk of that number. And from that number alone, you can see how significant this current surge is. Today's current stat shows an additional 5,409 new COVID cases and 123 deaths in the last 24 hours, as well as 497 additional hospitalizations. 61 were sent to ICU. Governor Mike DeWine says, while there is good reason to be optimistic about Ohioans receiving the vaccine, we have our work cut out for us to slow the spread of the virus until enough Ohioans can be vaccinated. We must continue rallying together to prevent overwhelming our hospitals. Dr. Kevin Sherritt shared with Ohio Department of Health the following.
You know, one of the difficulties with this disease, with this virus, is that many individuals who have this virus are not symptomatic, or they may have just mild symptoms such as watery eyes, runny nose, sneezing, coughing, that can be attributed to virus or allergies and other such illnesses. And so that makes this virus very difficult because people don't realize they have it. And so with that argument, or with that premise in mind, we should understand that makes the mask even more important for us, because you don't know if you're carrying the virus. You don't always know if you're contagious. And so we need to be extra diligent in taking those precautions by wearing the mask.
The Ohio Department of Health also suggests if you are sick, to keep in touch with your doctor. Stay home except to get medical care, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Governor Mike DeWine expects vaccines to be made available to the general population sometime spring next year. Perrysburg, Ohio, Eagle News, Ronnie Bayuga. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Ronnie, before you go, what are some of the reported common side effects of the vaccine?
Well, you know, Ace, I am a bit of a biology geek. And so this vaccine interested me, especially because it's a new type of vaccine. And it's called a messenger RNA, which is a ribonucleic acid type thing that we have in our cells. So what we're basically doing is sending instructions to our body on how to make the antibodies. So a lot of the things that they're seeing right now, and they've done some, phase 2 and 3 trials, which is designed to determine what kind of side effects we have when we have these vaccines. So one of the most common things that we'll see is a sore or a pain where they injected the vaccine. And some of it may also be fever and muscle pain and dizziness, and some of the more severe cases. There's some people in UK, they had 2 people allergic to the vaccine, which is a rare allergy. But what happens is also, they are also suggesting that people who have food allergies, people who have allergies from general vaccinations whatsoever, should not take this vaccine. That way, they won't experience some of the more severe reactions to the vaccine. But it's a very cool vaccine, considering it's we are now sending instructions to our bodies on how to make the antibodies instead of sending a weakened form of the virus into our bodies, which is a very great leap in technology.
That's right. Right. Given the choice of being sick with COVID-19 and feeling a little bit dizzy or a little muscle sore, I would take that.
Yeah, the more severe reaction may mimic what you have, what people experience with COVID-19, but really you can't get COVID-19 based on how they're delivering this vaccine. It's a different way of doing things altogether.
Great information. Thank you so much, Randy Bayuga from Ferrisburg, Ohio. Up next, updates from Pasadena, California, Union Township, New Jersey, Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. Eagle News America will return shortly.
It says the best defense is still containment.
We are in uncharted territory.
Final volume 450. FI on to 100%. Traffic ban. Consumption.
Watching Eagle News America, I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington. California Governor Gavin Newsom arrives in Los Angeles for the administration of the first doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine and launches the Vaccinate All 58-state program. In Pasadena, Eli Austria reports.
Thank you, Ace. With the first shipment of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine delivered last Sunday night at the Los Angeles International Airport, Los Angeles wastes no time in administering the first doses the following day to healthcare workers of Kaiser Permanente. Governor Newsom arrives to attend this momentous milestone, joined by Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti and Los Angeles County Supervisor Hilda Solis. The California governor states, quote, "This is a moment for hope, and it is also a time to remain vigilant as we face the most intense surge yet. While we have prepared for this surge with beds and equipment, staffing shortages are real and impact our medical system. Kaiser Permanente Los Angeles Medical Center is among the first hospitals in the state and county for this first phase of the COVID-19 vaccine administration. Governor Newsom also promotes the state's initiative, Vaccinate All 58. This is California's newest action plan to provide the COVID-19 vaccine to all 58 counties of the state in a fair and safe manner, ensuring that there is no discrimination of any kind, whether it be ethnicity or financial status, with no community neglected. Senate President Pro Tempore Tony Atkins says it is critical that we provide all Californians with the tools they need to get through the health crisis, from information to the vaccine. And the Vaccinate All 58 campaign does just that. That is how we get to the other side of this pandemic and to healthier outcomes for us all. In Pasadena, California, Eli Austria, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Eli, that's great news. Los Angeles has also begun the administration of the vaccine there. But can you give us some updates on the COVID-19 stats today in the county?
Right. So, Ace, the COVID-19 statistics just released about 3 hours ago, and they have shown that, again, broken previous high records. Okay, so the Los Angeles Public Health Department records show 22,422 new cases, due in part by a backlog of test results in one laboratory, and 138 new deaths, plus another record-breaking 4,656 current hospitalizations. To date, Los Angeles County now has a total of 566,005 positive cases, along with 8,568 deaths. So, The arrival of this vaccine is truly great news for everyone here. Ace?
Thank you so much, Eli Austria in Pasadena, California. Hopefully, the administration of the vaccine there, this rollout will positively affect your statistics in the next coming weeks. Northeastern U.S. is bracing for the first winter storm of the season. And in New Jersey, Governor Phil Murphy has just declared a state of emergency. Bureau Chief Carlo Valdez reports.
Thanks, Ace. Effective Wednesday at 2 p.m., Governor Murphy declared that New Jersey will enter a state of emergency in response to the winter storm happening right now. The storm started earlier this morning on the southern part of the state and worked its way up to northern New Jersey. Executive Order 208 declares a state of emergency for all of the 21 counties in New Jersey so that emergency crews and plows and other resources can be deployed. Here's what Governor Murphy had to say.
We expect a significant winter storm to begin moving its way across the state. I have signed an executive order declaring a state of emergency beginning at 2 p.m. today. The Department of Transportation has been busy preparing for this storm, pre-treating many roads and highways, and pre-positioning towing and other equipment. After the storm conditions have begun, we urge you to please take it slow and use common sense and caution. Storm updates as well as preparedness information are all available online at ready.nj.gov.
Governor Murphy also added, heavy snow and high winds are expected in many parts of the state today. Safety is our top priority. We ask that residents stay off the roads as we deploy resources to clear snow. And as for coronavirus, stats and numbers, New Jersey reports of 5,803 new positive COVID-19 cases, pushing the total to 415,075. Sadly, New Jersey is reporting 91 new COVID-19 deaths, pushing the total to 16,095 lives lost. In Union Township, New Jersey, Carlo Valdez, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Carlo. In this time of sickness, joblessness, and economic insecurity, one thing people grapple with is their health insurance. In Pennsylvania, residents have been introduced to a marketplace called Penny for affordable health insurance coverage options. And facing this season's first winter storm as well, Governor Tom Wolf of Pennsylvania has just declared a winter weather emergency. In Swarthmore, Bureau Chief Myla Simbulan has the details. Myla.
That's right, Ace. Pennsylvania's new state-based health insurance marketplace known as Penny was introduced during a press conference to encourage Pennsylvanians to visit penny.com for affordable coverage options. Penny is Pennsylvania's official destination for shopping for quality health insurance plans and the only source for financial assistance to help with the cost of coverage and care. Penny.com replaces healthcare.gov as a marketplace for individual health and dental coverage. Penny also includes a reinsurance program that over time will lower premiums for individuals and families that buy comprehensive coverage. A reinsurance program helps to make health insurance affordable for more Pennsylvanians. Here's Pennsylvania Insurance Commissioner to tell us more. Take a look.
Penny strives to support all Pennsylvanians and understands that many who lost employer-sponsored coverage as a result of COVID-19 may be new to the individual market and unaware of the benefits of the marketplace. All commercial, comprehensive health insurance available in the Commonwealth, including plans purchased through Penny, fully cover the COVID-19 test if patients are experiencing symptoms or have an indication of exposure, treatment for any symptoms that develop due to COVID-19, and the full cost of the COVID-19 vaccine once it is available to you.
Access to healthcare has been the #1 priority of Pennsylvania government, and these are just some of their accomplishments. Expanded access to Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act, opening up health coverage for hundreds of thousands of Pennsylvanians. Signed legislation in July 2019, creating the state-based marketplace, now Penny. Advocated against any rollback of the ACA, which provides health coverage for more than 1 million Pennsylvanians. Implemented collaborative and innovative programs to improve healthcare outcomes for Pennsylvanians, including a healthcare reform plan for Pennsylvania that will lower costs and focus on improving accessibility, equity, and value of healthcare for all. They also participated in Get Covered Day on December 10 by issuing a proclamation and raising awareness to encourage Pennsylvanians who don't have health coverage to go to penny.com to explore their healthcare options. Meanwhile, another news from Pennsylvania. A proclamation of disaster emergency in anticipation of a major winter storm expected to bring as much as 2 feet of snow to parts of the Commonwealth. Power outages are also a possibility given the wet, heavy nature of the snow and strong winds that could bring down trees and power lines.
Currently, as many of you probably already know, models are predicting the first significant winter storm in nearly a year. It's going to hit Pennsylvania tomorrow and somewhat into Thursday. Some areas have the potential to see more than 1 foot of snowfall. The Commonwealth's emergency preparedness teams have spent a great deal of time and energy, as you know, over the last several months supporting all kinds of efforts to mitigate the COVID-19 pandemic and to help the Commonwealth weather this public health emergency. The Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency in particular is hosting 2 ongoing emergency response efforts for both the opioid epidemic and the COVID-19 pandemic. But PEMA's role as the agency that helps guide counties through contingency planning and emergency preparedness is a forward-thinking one. And the group of people here speaking to you today never lost sight of the preparations that we always have to make around this time of the year to deal with the season's winter weather.
The Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, or PEMA, works with county emergency management personnel to monitor unmet local needs during inclement weather affecting travel, utilities, and shelter. PEMA encourages Pennsylvanians to access www.ready.pa.gov for free downloadable emergency kit checklist for the home and car. PEMA is also coordinating any unmet needs to ensure that COVID-19 vaccine deliveries planned for this week go as expected. The Pennsylvania State Police says the #1 thing people can do to keep themselves and first responders safe is to stay home and not travel during and immediately after the storm. State police and local law enforcement will respond to traffic collisions and work to clear them as quickly as possible. But emergency crews will be dealing with the same weather as everyone else, so response times will be affected. Before the snow starts falling, make sure your home is stocked with the essential so that you don't have to go out during the storm. Ace, it is currently 32 degrees Fahrenheit right now, or 0 degrees Celsius. In Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Myla Simbulan, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Myla. Does the emergency disaster proclamation in Pennsylvania restrict travel?
It is the vehicular travel on the Commonwealth roads or state roads there's no restriction that tells us on the proclamation. But PennDOT and Pennsylvania Turnpike announced just a couple of hours ago the speed limits will be restricted to 45 miles per hour on restricted roadways for all vehicles. While all these vehicle restrictions are in place, commercial vehicles that are not affected by the restrictions must move to the right lane. And there will be, as the storm keeps on going, there will be additional speed restrictions on other interstates that they might add. Ace?
Thank you so much, Myla Simbulan from Swarthmore, Pennsylvania. better safe than sorry, right? When we come back, update from Washington and Houston, Texas. This is Eagle News America. Stay with us.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business every Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. Open for Business, from vision to action.
This is Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez from Washington. From Pennsylvania, let's head over to the nation's capital, where residents are bracing for their season's first winter storm. In Washington, Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmut shares with us how the district has geared up for the season.
Thanks, Ace. Good Wednesday evening to you and a great Thursday morning to our friends in the Philippines. Mayor Muriel Bowser announced, in anticipation of a winter storm, as early as 7 p.m. last night, tanker trucks began pre-treating the national highway system with a brine beet juice mixture, which reduces the ability of ice to bond to the pavement. These roadways include the 295 and the 395 and the district's major streets. Last night as well, Ace, the district's snow team, deployed 138 heavy plows. These are the 6 and 10-wheel dump trucks, and 81 light plows. These are the F550 pickup trucks, to apply salt to highways, streets, bridges, ramps, and other elevated structures in anticipation of the snow that began falling this morning. Based on the National Weather Service forecast, the district is expected to be on the rain-snow line, and precipitation could alternate between rain and snow, with a possible accumulation of 1 to 3 inches of snow. Now, residents and commuters are encouraged to register for important weather alerts from the district by signing up for Alert DC at alertdc.dc.gov. Now, the district snow team also encourages residents and commercial property owners to apply abrasives such as rock salt, de-icer, or non-clumping kittle litter to the sidewalks around their properties to reduce the possibility of icing and to prevent slips and falls. You know, this also prevents visits to the ER, especially now that we are still in a pandemic. And also, attention pet owners, worry not, because the snow team uses pet-friendly de-icers on district pedestrian bridges. Now, pre-treatment and snow removal also began last night at municipal buildings, first responder locations, hypothermia centers, homeless shelters, COVID-19 testing sites, and the DC public schools. Streeteries and parklets are not to be used during inclement weather and or when the outdoor temperature reaches 32 degrees Fahrenheit That's freezing temp or lower. Streetery owners must clear the snow or ice from their sidewalks and outdoor dining spaces within 8 daylight hours after the end of a storm. If you see someone outside in need of shelter or a welfare check during freezing temperatures, call the shelter hotline at 202-399-7093 or dial 311. If there is an immediate risk to safety, call, of course, 911. Now, transportation to shelter is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, for some weather update, 35 degrees Fahrenheit or 2 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital. In Washington, Eliza Gonzalez, Manglikmot, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Eliza. Brine and beet juice mixture. I know you're a vegetarian, but did you just make it up?
I didn't. That's from the mayor's announcement.
Okay, it sounds like a vegetarian drink. Well, anyway, go to your report. Aside from the deployment of dozens of snow plows in the district, what other efforts have been exerted to keep residents as safe as possible in the winter season and during this pandemic?
Ace, as early as of October this year, the snow team has released this winter-ready DC video with weather tips for residents of the district. Let's take a look.
So the Snow Dry Run this year is our annual week-long event that we go through and we run a scenario of a snowstorm coming into the district that would challenge our resources. We use that week to go through and not only plan for that event that's coming, but make sure we're knocking off all the rust on the atrophy that may have happened when we're not in snow season for our drivers, our admin personnel, and those that have to work on the snow program. We are looking at an increased amount of snow predicted for this year over last year. So just a reminder for everybody to pay attention. Residents are required to shovel their sidewalk on front of their property. Business owners are required to shovel their public space in front of their restaurants within 24 hours when the storm stops. So we just ask that folks pay attention to that. Go to snow.dc.gov for more information on things that you can do.
We can find at snow.dc.gov include snow shovel must be adequate for another snow season. We must restock supply of abrasives such as de-icer, rock salt, or non-clumping kittle litter. We should have enough over-the-counter and prescription medications for your family. And don't forget your pets. Make sure your gutters are cleared of leaves so they don't block the flow of rainwater that may freeze. We should also turn off all outdoor water faucets, keep our vehicles' fluids, tanks, gas, water, antifreeze, and windshield wipers full. Have a flashlight, blankets, and scrapers in your vehicle before the storm begins. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you so much for the tips and the brine and beet juice mixture.
We'll try that one.
Eliza Gonzalez from Washington. Well, we'll end the night with a heartwarming story. Tonight, Eagle News correspondent Jessica Isidro reports about Houston's recent initiative to help pet owners there impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Jessica.
Thank you, Ace, and howdy from the Lone Star State. Here in Houston, BARC, the city's Animal Shelter and Adoption Center, has announced a series of community events this month to provide pet food, supplies, and health care for Houston pet owners impacted by COVID-19. In collaboration with Best Friends Animal Society, Rescued Pets Movement, or RPM, Houston Pet Set, and Emancipet, BARC will provide over $550,000 in pandemic-related community pet support throughout the holidays. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner stated, "During this time of need, it is important not to forget about our four-legged friends. We are happy that we can provide services and supplies for pet parents in Houston that have been impacted by COVID-19. We will continue to work with local animal rescue and wellness partners to keep families and their pets together during this difficult time." Events will include mobile emergency service by Houston Pet Set, free mobile emergency veterinary services, free spay and neuter services by Houston Pet Set, spay and neuter services, a pet adoption weekend event by Best Friends Adoption in partnership with Bark Animal Shelter and Rescued Pets Movement, or RPM, a drive-through pet and supplies food bank at Bark Animal Shelter, free pet wellness weeks, and more. These events are open to all City of Houston residents affected by COVID-19. And to maintain social distancing, all spay and neuter, as well as wellness events, will be conducted by appointment only. Scheduled dates and locations for these free events, as well as registration, can be found by visiting www.houstontx.gov/bark. Meanwhile, I hope you're staying safe and healthy in your part of the world. And if you find yourself stuck at home alone for the holidays, why not consider adopting your own furry friend at your local animal shelter? Like my little friend here, Bella, who happens to be celebrating her first birthday today. In Houston, Texas, I'm Jessica Isidro, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Jessica, and happy birthday to Bella. In addition to her, how many other furry babies do you have? And what are your thoughts? Let us know. What are your thoughts about the City of Houston trying to help pet owners and pets and their families in need during this pandemic?
I have a total of 2 dogs. And they, one is 3 years old, or she's turning 3 years old next month. And this little girl is 1 today. I do think it's great that the City of Houston is thinking about, pet parents and animals throughout the city, because, our city is very much a dog-friendly town for sure. So I do think it's great that they are willing to help out families with pets, because I know how much I love my dogs. So each family that has a pet really treats them as a part of the family. So I think it's great that the city recognizes that and that they are willing to help out. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Say bye-bye, Bella. We're going to go eat cake now.
To express our appreciation for our healthcare workers, first responders, and essential workers. You are our modern-day heroes. That is today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ace Ramirez. We live in interesting times.
May sakit na lumalaganap, lunas di pa nahahanap. May paraan para wag kumalat, kaalaman ay ipamalas. Pag-aralan o dali na, simulan ang disiplina. Mapahamak ay hindi na, lahat ito ay makakaya. May tamang paraan ng paghuhugas ng kamay. Distansya, pila-pila, takpan ng stay sa bahay. Kung magiging kaisa tayo, kabilang sa pagsubok, sama-sama natin talunin sa COVID-19. Sa COVID-19.
Yo! Lahat tayo ay nababahala, ang dami ng gawain na naaantala. Atensyon nyo'y kailangan ng italaga. Kailangan mo na magtiis at magtiyaga. Yes! Kalusugan ay kaligtasan, lumalalang sakit ay kayang iwasan. Mag-ingat, sumunod, ito'y malulunasan. Darating din ang ginhawa ng kinabukasan.
May tamang paraan ng paghuhugas ng kamay. Distansya, pila-pila, takpan ng bibig. Stay sa bahay. Kung magiging kaisa tayo, kami na sa pagsubok, sama-sama nating talunin the COVID-19. Umahing na isa tayo, kabilang sa pagsubok, sama-sama nating talunin. Stop the COVID-19. Stop the COVID-19.
Sino kaya sa mga bagong kalahok ang aangkin ng last spot sa Monty Finals at magkakaroon ng chance na makipaglaban sa second quarter elimination? Sama-sama po nating alamin yan dito lamang sa biggest talent competition on Philippine TV and online. Ito po ang Taging Sinigaling Part 2 Singing Edition.
Hello there. Imagine Demi got the virus, and she infected 2 more. And those 2 infected a lot more of people. And it goes on and on until it became an epidemic. But what if Demi stayed at home? Then those 2 wouldn't have contracted the virus. Then those people would have not been infected. This is not just your battle, it's everyone's, and you can be a huge help. Follow social distancing, or better yet, stay at home.
Sa mundong waring walang puwang para sa kanilang pagmamahalan, sapat pa ang tibok ng kanilang mga puso upang bumuo ng daigdig nilang sarili. Inihahandog ng Eagle Broadcasting Corporation ang kauna-unahang romantic teleserye ng Net25. Ang Daigdig Ko'y Ikaw. Tuwing Sabado, 8:08 ng gabi, dito lamang sa Net25.
At ako'y laging sa'yo hanggang magpakailanman. Happy time, happy time, happy time, happy time, happy time.
Gusto namin maging happy ang mga viewers sa amin pagpapatawa, sa amin pag-entertain, iba-ibang segments and games.
Rumarampa! Lumalagpas!
Batanes! Batanes!
Sa jackpot prize of 58,000 pesos, ang tamang sagot na hinahanap natin.
3, 2, 1!
Happy peeps, on the Happy Time stage, please welcome...
Magandang dilag sa isip mo naman mo.
Thank you po. Ay, maraming salamat po.
Puso po kami nagpapasalamat sa malaking tulong na inabot niyo po sa amin.
Please watch Happy Time every day, Monday to Friday, dito lang sa Net25. Happy Time, Happy Time,
Buwis buhay, nakakaba talaga.
Sa buhay yung aking dugo. Dito sa Talisan ng Galing, paangat ng paangat ang level ng mga contestant.
Panibagong set ng mga bagong dancers ang maglalaban-laban para sa huling spot ngayong December Monthly Finals. Check this out. Yeah.